said Cinderella. Yes, and off to work she went. Now across the town from Cinderella's home was the palace of the king, and in the king's study one day sat the king himself, giving orders to the great Grand Duke. The prince must marry, said the king. It is high time. But, your majesty, what can we do? Asked the duke. First he must fall in love. We can arrange that, said the king. We shall give a great ball this very night and invite every girl in the land. There was great excitement in Cinderella's home when the invitations to the king's ball came. How delightful, the stepsisters said to each other. We are going to the palace to a ball. And I, said Cinderella, I am invited too. Oh, you, laughed the stepsisters. Yes, you, mocked the stepmother. Of course you may go if you finish your work, she said, and if you have something suitable to wear. I said, if. And she smiled a horrid smile. Cinderella worked as hard as she could all day long, but when it was time to leave for the ball, she had not a moment to fix herself up or give thought to a dress. Why, Cinderella, you are not ready, said her stepmother, when the coach was at the door. No, I am not going, said Cinderella sadly. Not going? Oh, what a shame, the stepmother said with her mocking smile. But there will be other balls. Oh, she's evil. Poor Cinderella. She went to her room and sank sadly down with her head in her hands. But a twittering sound soon made her turn around. Her little friends had not forgotten her. They had been scampering and flying about, fixing a party dress for her. Oh, how lovely! She cried. I can't thank you enough. She told all the birds and the mice. She looked out the window. The coach was still there, so she started to the dress for the ball. Wait, cried Cinderella, I'm coming too. She ran down the long stairway just as the stepmother was giving her daughters some last commands. They all turned at the sound of her voice and stared. My beads, cried one stepsister. And my ribbon, cried the other, snatching off Cinderella's sash. And those bows, you thief, those are mine! So they pulled and they ripped and they tore at the dress until Cinderella was in rags once more. And then they flounced off to the ball. Poor Cinderella. She ran to the garden behind the house, and there she sank down on a low stone bench and wept as if her heart would break. But soon she felt someone beside her. She looked up, and through her tears she saw a sweet-faced woman. Oh, said Cinderella, good evening. Who are you? I am your fairy godmother, said the little woman, and from the thin air she pulled out a magic wand. Now, dry your tears. You can't go to the ball looking like that. Let's see, the first thing you will need is a pumpkin. The fairy godmother said. Cinderella did not understand, but she brought the pumpkin. And now for the magic words. Salaga doola, mintica boola, bippity boppity boo. Slowly up rears the pumpkin on its pumpkin vine, and it's turned into a handsome magic coach. What we need next is some fine, big mice. Cinderella brought her friends the mice, and at the touch of the wand they turned into prancing horses. Then the old horse became a fine coachman, and Bruno the dog turned into a footman at the touch of the wand, and bibbity-bobbity-boo. There, said the fairy godmother. Now hop in, child. You've no time to waste. The magic only lasts till midnight. But my dress! Cinderella looked at her rags. Good heavens, child, laughed the fairy godmother. Of course you can't go in that. Bibbidi-bobbidi-boo. The wand waved again, and there stood Cinderella in the most beautiful gown in the world, with tiny slippers of glass. The princess' ball was underway. The palace was blazing with lights, the ballroom gleamed with silks and jewels, and the prince smiled and bowed, but still looked bored as all the young ladies of the kingdom in turn curtsied before him. Up above on the balcony stood the king and the duke looking on. "Whatever is the matter with that prince?" cried the king. "He doesn't seem to care for one of those beautiful maidens." "I feared as much," the duke said with a sigh. "The prince is not one to fall in love at first sight." But just at that moment he did, for at that moment Cinderella appeared at the doorway of the ballroom as the prince caught sight of her through the crowd, and like one in a dream he walked to her side and offered his arm. Quickly did the king beckon to the musicians, and they struck up a dreamy waltz as the prince and Cinderella swirled off in the dance. And the king, chuckling over the success of his plan to find a bride for the prince, went happily off to bed. All evening the prince never left Cinderella's side. They danced every dance, and they ate supper together, and Cinderella had such a wonderful time that she quite forgot the fairy godmothers, warning until the clock in the palace tower began to strike midnight. Bong! Bong! The clock struck. "Oh!" cried Cinderella. The magic was about to end. Without a word, she ran from the ballroom, down the long palace hall, and out the door. One of her little glass slippers flew off, but she could not stop. She leaped into her coach, and away they raced for home. But as they rounded the first corner, the clock finished its strokes. The spell was broken, and there, in the street, stood an old horse, a dog, and a ragged girl, staring at a small round pumpkin. About them the mice ran chattering. "Glass slipper!" the mice cried. "Glass slipper!" And Cinderella looked down. Sure enough, there was a glass slipper on the pavement. "Oh, thank you, godmother," she said. Next morning there was great excitement in the palace. The king was furious when he found that the duke had let a beautiful girl slip away. "All we could find was this one glass slipper," the duke admitted. "And now the prince says he must marry the girl whom the slipper fits, and he will not marry anyone else." "He did?" cried the king. "He said he would marry her? Well, then find her! Scour the kingdom, but find that girl!" All day and all night the Grand Duke and his servant traveled about the kingdom, trying to find a foot on which the glass slipper would fit. In the morning his coach drove up before Cinderella's house. The news of the search had run on ahead, and the stepmother was busy rousing her ugly daughters and preparing them to greet the Duke, for she was determined that one of them would wear this slipper and be the prince's bride. "The prince's bride!" whispered Cinderella. "I must dress too. The Duke must not find me like this." Cinderella went off her room to dress, humming a waltzing tune. Then the stepmother suspected the truth. That Cinderella was the girl the prince was seeking. So the stepmother followed Cinderella to lock her in her room. The mice chattered a warning, but Cinderella did not hear them. She was off in a world of dreams. Then she heard the key click. The door was locked. "Please let me out, oh please," she cried. But the wicked stepmother only laughed, "Ha ha ha ha!" and went away. "We will save you," said the loyal mice. We will somehow get that key. The household was in a flurry. The Grand Duke had arrived. His servant held the glass slipper. It is mine! It is mine! Both stepsisters cried. And each strained and pushed and tried to force her foot into a tiny glass slipper. But they failed. Meanwhile, the mice made themselves into a long live chain. The mouse at the end dropped down into the stepmother's pocket. He popped up again with the key to Cinderella's room. At once the mice hurried off with the key. Now the Grand Duke was at the door, about to leave. Suddenly, down the stairs, Cinderella came flying. Oh, wait, please, she called. May I try the slipper on? Of course, said the Duke, and he called back the servant with the slipper. But the wicked stepmother tripped the boy. Away sails the slipper, and crash! It splintered into 1,000 pieces. Oh my, said the Duke. What can I ever tell the king? Never mind, said Cinderella. I have the other one. And she pulled from her pocket the other glass slipper. So off to the palace went Cinderella in the king's own coach, with the happy Grand Duke by her side. The prince was delighted to see her again, and so was his father, the king. So was everyone, for the sweet and beautiful girl won the hearts of all who met her. Soon she was princess of the land, and she and her husband, the charming prince, rode to their palace in a golden coach to live happily ever after. I hope you have enjoyed this story. Until next time, au revoir. Hello, my name is Nancy Hinkes. I am an 8th grade junior high English teacher, and I co-direct UIL junior high One Egg Play with Melissa Craig and Harmony Thompson. I hope you've enjoyed my story. I love reading and I loved acting. I've spent some time with Hamilton Civic Theater